Now, students, we're looking at Unit 2, page 12, and like the first unit, we have our language practice section or the grammar focus section. Once again, we're going to look at the grammar that is the most important when we're talking about jobs and talking about getting to know somebody. What do you do? And we're going to be using the verb to do as well. So in the first unit, we used the verb to be. In this unit, we're going to use the verb to do. So once again, we have our yellow box, and in the yellow box, we have some perfect examples of the grammar that we will use. So we'll introduce the grammar first, and then we're going to try some exercises underneath to practice that grammar and make sure we know how to use it. And later we can use it to talk about ourselves. So what do you do? The first question is simple present. What do you do? I'm an architect. I'm not a doctor. Where do you live? Once again, listen to the questions. Where do you live? I live in Rio. I live in Seoul. I live in London. I don't live in Recife. Now, you see here it changes. What do you do? Where do you live? What does she do? Because it's she, we change the verb, okay? So we change the verb when it's she on this one here, okay? So once again, we're going to look at the verb. What does she do? Okay, what does he do? And she's a college student. She isn't a teacher. Where does, once again, she, where does she go to school? She goes to NYU. Now, if I said the question, where do you go to school? I go to school. But change, I go, she goes. She goes. So as we can see, where does she go to school? She goes to NYU. She does not go to school. Okay. What do? They are pilots. What do they work for? Or excuse me, what do they work for? No. Who? So who is, if they are pilots, what airline? Okay, so maybe we can put down which airline here. This means, for example, is it the airline like Korea Air or Asiana or British Airways, something like this, okay? So which airline is it, okay? I'll get rid of all this here, just not make it confusing. And they work for Korean Air, all right? Who do they work for? They work for Korean Air, all right? Who do you work for? I work for company name. And finally, where do they work? They work in an airport, okay? So once again, what do you do? Where do you live? What do they do? Who do they work for? Where do they work? Where do you live? What does she do? Where does she go to school? These questions kind of repeat, but we always have to understand that the agreement between the verb, once again, the verb and the subject is really important, okay? Verb and subject. Do you, do they, does she, does he, okay? Does it, all right? So underneath we have our questions and answers, okay? And we have our first exercise here is match the questions and answers. So we'll just bring this up just a little bit, make it easier to see. Match the questions and answers. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and A, B, C, D. And in the matching, of course, we want to listen to the question and what is the appropriate answer. For example, what do you do? And of course, you're looking for what do you do? And be careful, she's no. What does she do? No. What do you do? So you would say I. And of course, B, I work in an office. What do you do? I work in an office. The next question, number 2, is where do you live? So this is place. Once again, you don't have to understand everything. We're just looking for the place. So where do you live? And you would say, they go to University of Texas. They go, the verb is live. Okay, where do you live? In Sao Paulo. So we'd say D in Sao Paulo. Next one, and this is the big hint. What does your sister do? What does she do? Okay. And what does your sister do? Your sister, she's an architect. She's an architect. Okay. And number 4, where do now be careful, what does your sister do? Where do your friends are 2 or 3 more people. Where do your friends go to school? And of course, they go to the University of Texas. University of Texas. Okay, so the last one is C. So once again, the English skill is listen to the question and then give the answer. Where do you go to school? Where? I go to school. Where do they work? They work. Okay, so once again, question, answer are always connected. So part 2, we look at the conversations. Okay, complete the conversations. Now, there's lots missing in the conversations, part 1, part 2. And what we're going to do is we are going to look at the conversation and then the answer and see if we can replace the parts here. So complete the conversations. Number 1, where blank? I in LA. So our hint is LA or Los Angeles. So maybe we can say, where do you live? Okay, where do you live? And you can say, I live in LA. Once again, question, answer, question, answer. Where do you live? I live in LA. And what space I actor? Actor is a job. So remember, what is the question? What do you do? What do you do? I am an actor. Okay, so where do you live? I live in LA. What do you do? I am an actor. Correct verb. Okay. Number 2, same style. Okay. Where your sister, she in Seoul. So this time Seoul, similar question. Where do you live? Where do your sister know? Where does your sister live? Where does the verb change? Where does your sister live? She, now be careful. I live, she lives. Okay, she lives. Excuse me, make that a little bit better. She lives in Seoul. And final question, what do you do? What does your sister do? What does what does she do? I am an actor. She am a teacher. No, she is a teacher. Okay. So once again, this is kind of a big skill in English of getting the verb and subject to agree. Okay. What does she do? What do you do? Where does she live? Where do you live? Okay, the verb and the subject. And finally, underneath, if you want some extra practice, we have this exercise with your partner or somebody. If you want to interview, if you want to interview somebody, you can say, where do you live? For you, I live in. And where do you live? And you would write they live in or she lives in. What do you do? I am an. Your partner, what do they do? They are a, or she or he is a. Where do you go to school? I go to school. Your partner, they go to school or he goes to school. And finally, where do you work? I work in an, or I work at a. And you can say they work at a, or she or he works. Once again, subject, verb. I go, she goes. I work, she works. I am, she is. Okay? Very important to get that grammar down when you're introducing yourself and asking questions from somebody else as well.